Hello, my name is Eric Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I want to talk about the origin of happiness. It's a fairly common question that you see thrown around. What makes you happy? Or after enlightenment or liberation, what makes you happy? And unfortunately, the question itself betrays a misunderstanding or ignorance of the origin of happiness. For to ask what makes you happy is asking for an external stimulus or an external cause that will make you happy. However, nothing is needed to make you happy. Happiness is our very nature. The origin of happiness is who and what we really are. Our inherent essence is happiness. Now, I think this is most apparent if you were to look upon the faces of infants. Infants, swaddled in a crib or whatever, almost perpetually have this look of happiness, joy, and wonder as they look upon the world. It's sometimes punctuated by unhappiness of a wet diaper or hunger. But when physically not uncomfortable, there is this happiness that is, perpetual. Now, even it can be seen in children too, but I must say, even young children have already substantially been conditioned and gained habits and beliefs that cause their own misery and unhappiness. But even with fairly young children, as they play throughout the day, there's this constant happiness and explosions of joy as they see a butterfly, watch ants crossing a sidewalk, find a stream, splash in it, or throw rocks. There's this constant happiness. But the conditioning becomes more substantial and ingrained as we grow. And so by the time the more confusing years of adolescence kick in, we start really learning how to make ourselves miserable. And by adults, we've pretty much forgotten what really brings happiness, and we're looking for external things to cause happiness. We start thinking, well, if we buy the right thing, if we acquire this thing, it'll bring happiness. If we get wealth or fame, I'll be happy. But if you look at it, any number of millionaires, many or most are not happy. They may not have material wants, but they still don't feel right. They're still missing something. They don't feel complete and whole and right. I think it's important to think back as best as you're able, because everybody, including you, started out not feeling like you were lacking something, that you're insufficient, that there's something wrong with you, that you want or need something. I mean, as long as you weren't hungry and you weren't cold, just laying in a crib was happiness in and of itself. You didn't need anything else. Even children, unless you're injured or hungry or cold or something, you don't need anything. And so you're happy. And that's really the flaw in the material acquisition, is it brings momentary pleasure, but not lasting happiness. And that's fundamentally because what brought the happiness wasn't getting the object. It was more to do with when you finally got what you wanted, there was a period of time where you didn't want anything. That you're like, I have it now. I don't need anything else. And so you're happy until the habit and conditioning or something pops up. For example, something else catches your eye. Now you want that instead. And you bought a car, but you saw somebody with a better car, and now you want a better car. You bought a house, but you saw somebody has a bigger house. And it's not only on the physical side, but it's also people, relationships, knowledge on the mental level, spiritual attainments on the spiritual path. There's all these levels of acquisition with the hopes that with acquiring, I will finally be happy. And this is missing that our inherent nature, who and what we are, lacks nothing. We don't need anything to be complete, to be whole. Our inherent essence is fulfilled and complete. Which brings me back to the earlier conditioning. Because as small children, you want nothing more than the approval of your elders and betters, your parents, your teachers, your seniors. And you also look to them to teach you the ways of the world. And many of us, early on, are taught there's something wrong with you, unfortunately. That, why can't you be this? Why can't you do this? There's all different ways to imply this, but people are taught there's something wrong with you. And this becomes internalized and becomes an inner feeling of something is wrong with me fundamentally. Now, no matter how long you go throughout life and acquire things, as long as you have this deep inner feeling of there's something wrong with me, lasting happiness will never last. lasting happiness will never become a reality. Because no matter what you get, there'll be this inner urge or inner movement, and the feeling will arise. There's something wrong with me. I'm not yet complete. I haven't fixed myself enough. And then you've created misery for yourself again. We've learned nasty habits on how to create our own miseries. We've learned to make ourselves miserable. Another very common conditioning is insufficiency. That I'm not good enough, I don't have enough, whatever. There's insufficiency. And so even if you acquire wealth, fame, again, there's this inner feeling of lack. I don't have it yet. You see, all happiness resides within. Fundamentally, who and what we are is happiness itself. But we cover it up. We push it away. We hide it by these inner feelings and thoughts and beliefs brought about by our conditioning and habits. And we push it away. We make ourselves miserable. And then we focus on the misery. We're always focusing on the misery. Because as long as you're trying to escape misery, you're still focusing on the misery. Happiness is trickier in that we need to cease making ourselves miserable. We need to cease creating unhappiness for ourselves. And that's where enlightenment and liberation comes from, is because this illusion of me is shattered. This me that is incomplete, this me that is insufficient, this me that something is wrong with it, this me that is lacking or whatever, is shattered. And what is left is a profound understanding and feeling of completeness, sufficiency, fulfilled, not needing anything. And so without this craving and needing, that's where much of our misery comes from, is we're constantly wanting. And as long as we don't have it, we're not happy. We push away happiness. I don't have this, so I'm not happy. And then we focus on not having and lack. And it's just a continuous snowball. So the origin of happiness is our essence, is our being. The origin of happiness is what we are fundamentally is happiness. We don't need anything outside of ourselves to be happy. The reason someone isn't happy is because they've made themselves unhappy. Granted, probably not consciously, because no one except the insane, or, will consciously, willfully inflict harm or unhappiness on themselves. But on a subconscious, unconscious level, we've got all this conditioning and habits built upon by beliefs and thoughts that we've acquired. Thoughts of you're not good enough. Thoughts of, whatever. But these beliefs and thoughts are the seeds that grew into the conditioning and habits that create fairly continually our own unhappiness and misery. And that's why as adults, so many adults are unhappy all the time, because they've mastered the art of making themselves miserable. So you need to stop and cease doing that. For if you were not making yourself miserable, it'd be like infancy again, in that you would be happy just being, just sitting, just enjoying what is, not for any particular reason. But if you have any questions, please post below. If you like my videos, I do invite you to subscribe to the channel. But thank you much.